The economy may be improving, but a just-released report indicates more millennials than ever are living with their parents.
Millennials love mom's cooking.
Perhaps. It's a growing population, but we don't have a growing number of young adult households.
Richard Fry, economist with Pew Research, talking about millennials getting jobs, getting raises, living at home. Bad for the economy.
It is important that millennials get out, establish their own households, whether they rent or buy, because of the economic activity it creates.
He says the trend runs counter to most expectation, and now there's no expectation on when it'll end. Jim Taylor, CBS News.
And when it comes to where people are moving to, an industry group says the number of signed contracts to buy homes fell last month. The National Association of Realtors says sales growth has been slowed down by limited inventory on the market. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Today on fleaspray.com, you will learn why new No-Mo Flea and Tick Spray is totally safe for dogs, cats, puppies, kittens, kids, babies crawling on the carpet, and even you. New No-Mo Flea and Tick Spray kills fleas and ticks with no poison. So as of today, you can stop using poison powders, poison collars, or poison foggers. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. New No-Mo Flea is made from vegetable oil. No-Mo Flea dissolves the hard shell of a flea or tick on contact, so the moist insides of that flea or tick just dry up. No-Mo Flea instantly. No more ticks soon thereafter. Best of all, no more poison ever. Before your beloved pet ventures out in the backyard again, order a 30 or 60-day supply of new No-Mo Flea. Do it today at fleaspray.com, fleaspray.com. FLEASPRAY.com.
Active Computers and Electronics in Chesapeake handles it all and then some. They can fix your laptop, take care of motherboards, fix DC jacks, broken LCD screens, replace damaged plastic, and hinge replacement. They also handle viruses, slow computers, hard drive data recovery, battery replacement, can back up data, and upgrade memory. Call 485-8878 and visit Active Computers and Electronics at 2973 South Military Highway in Chesapeake today.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar has two locations, 4201 Granby Street in Norfolk and 801 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Call ahead at 640-7705. At Mi Hogar, there is something for everyone.
From Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
And thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us on this beautiful Wednesday, July 29th, 2015. This is Sports Scene every Wednesday right here from noon to 1 on News Talk 1650. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT in your search box to listen on your phone or your computer. We also invite you to watch sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Tell your friends about WHKT on Facebook. Like them on Twitter. Go to my website, gjbtv.com. You'll see my 4 Twitter handles. Greg Bick, Sports Highlight without the S at the end, GJBTV, and HROnlineMall.com. Thank you to our military and our great guest lineup today. Sponsors on GJBTV.com, homepage and marketplace sponsors, and the great guest lineup presented by Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com. Locals and tourists go to it every day. Browse, shop, and visit, and see over 70 sponsors on Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com. Something for everyone. You simply click the image, takes you right to the website without having to type, Google, search, or spell. See what everybody in Hampton Roads is talking about on Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com. Phone line presented by Mi Hogar Restaurants in Chesapeake and Norfolk. And of course, want to thank Active Computers, Rita's, India Palace, Mi Hogar. And of course, we're looking forward to seeing Spaghetti Yeti's coming back as well this weekend. Dan Eby on Friday, as well as so many great sponsors like Fink's Car Care as well. Baseball is really heating up. We're going to be talking to Phil Wood from Masson about the Orioles and the Nationals. One more major in golf, the PGA Championship coming up in a few weeks, the U.S. Open in tennis, preseason football right around the corner, summer fun, enjoy it, enjoy going to the beach. And of course, Kenny, they're all talking about Tom Brady today, where he pretty much destroyed his phone. It's funny, Hillary Clinton, there's no talk about her destroying her phone, but Tom Brady, boy, he is really getting ripped on Twitter about destroying his phone, if nothing else.
Somebody who wants to be the president of the United States, to hold the highest office in the most powerful nation on the planet, they destroy all kind of evidence and don't follow through, and nobody says a whole lot. But some guy that heads up a football team, suddenly he's a pariah?
Right. Exactly.
Let's get our priorities
right.
straighter here.
I know. But, I mean, Tom Brady, and that's the problem with athletes. They're so entitled. They think they're above everything, Ken. And really, it's just a recreation that really most of them are overpaid anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Sports Scene will continue right here on the radio on 1650 AM. Hello to all the locals and tourists. And also tunein.com. Type in WHKT, where our stream is always working. Stay tuned. The place for authentic Indian food is the India Palace. They feature authentic Indian cuisine, have a party hall, and do catering and banquets. Open daily for lunch and dinner, they showcase an excellent lunch buffet at their Chesapeake and Virginia Beach locations. Visit their two locations at 1437 Sam's Drive in Chesapeake off of Battlefield Boulevard and 5600 Virginia Beach Boulevard in Virginia Beach, and online at IndiaPalaceVB.com. On Facebook, look for India Palace Virginia Beach and India Palace Bar and Grill. Dine at the India Palace today.
Hello, Toes. This is the brain. Is all this wiggling absolutely necessary?
We've never been this happy. Whatever it is you're drinking up there is cooling us off all the way down here.
Now that you mention it, we happen to be enjoying a new Rita's frozen drink. Your favorite flavor of their signature Italian ice turned into an intensely flavorful frozen beverage. The perfect refreshment on a hot summer day.
More, please.
Don't be a piggy.
Haven't heard that one before.
Rita's.
Visit 12286 Warwick Boulevard in Newport News and 2328 West Mercury Boulevard in Hampton for Rita's.
Active Computers and Electronics in Chesapeake handles it all and then some. They can fix your laptop, take care of motherboards, fix DC jacks, broken LCD screens, replace damaged plastic, and hinge replacement. They also handle viruses, slow computers, hard drive data recovery, battery replacement, can back up data, and upgrade memory. Call 485-8878 and visit Active Computers and Electronics at 2973 South Military Highway in Chesapeake today.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar has two locations, 4201 Granby Street in Norfolk and 801 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Call ahead at 640-7705. At Mi Hogar, there is something for everyone.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
All right, back live right here on Sports Scene, live right here, your 10,000-watt voice in Hampton Roads, 1650 AM, your home for CBS News. Don't forget, folks, listen anywhere in the world, tunein.com, type in WHKT, listen on your phone or your computer for free, subscribe as well, and don't forget, all shows are archived on gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows of Sports Scene. Greg Bicouvaris along with Ken Johnson live on the radio at 12:12. It's a pleasure. We've had him on before. Let's welcome Phil Wood from Masson, talking Nationals and Orioles. How are you, Phil?
Doing great, Greg. Thanks.
Very good. Always a pleasure, my friend. And you and I were talking off the air a few days ago about the O's and the Nationals. And let's start off with the Orioles first. It seems like the Braves are exactly what they ordered, but the Yankees are still playing so well.
Well, it doesn't help when the Orioles win and the Yankees win as well. And, of course, last night's Yankee game turned into a joke, a laugher. But obviously the Orioles had struggled offensively. They've gotten well the last couple of games against the Braves. It's hard to say they got well in a 2-1 game, but at least they came out on the winning end there. And, of course, Chris Davis with a couple of bombs last night. But it's hard to look at this team for me and see a championship caliber team. A lot of people around here like to say, well, gee, at a similar time last year, the Kansas City Royals had the same record, but then the Royals kind of took off after that. The Orioles did win 96 games a year ago, but this is a club that could lose 7 to 9 players through free agency, and it's hard to look at this club now and figure that between now and the trading deadline later this week that they're going to make any kind of a meaningful move.
Yeah, it seems like this year has just been a year of distractions, from the riots in Baltimore to moving games to Markakis, going to the Braves, just one thing after another. Injuries, like always. No excuses. All teams have injuries, but they're 50 and 49 right now. What are your thoughts with the trade deadline coming up?
Well, they're still kind of looking for that regular, everyday left fielder, and rumors persist that they're looking hard at Justin Upton, that they had an interest in Carlos Gonzalez as well, but that's probably not going to happen. But I think the Upton thing is interesting because it looks like the Padres are trying to clean house to some extent. But the Orioles farm system's pretty thin. They don't really have a lot of great prospects they can move. They've got some arms that you've seen down there who are at least 4A pitchers and maybe a little bit better than that, but they're not going to move a Kevin Gausman, for instance, and their best pitching prospect they moved to the Red Sox last year in the Andrew Miller deal. So I don't know that they have the luxury of moving minor league pieces at will, because they don't have that many surefire high ceiling prospects.
Right, talking to Phil Wood right here from Masson. You see him a lot talking Nationals and Orioles occasionally. Phil, you were so attached with the Orioles for so long. I know the Nationals have been there, a decade and so forth, but do people still ask you a lot of Orioles questions, even though you're pretty much talking Nats mostly now?
Well, of course, I think most people know I'm a native Washingtonian,
right.
And I grew up a big fan of the Washington Senators. So when baseball came back, I kind of it was like a magnet drawing me back to that franchise. But sure, I still live in the greater Baltimore area, and I can't really go anywhere, whether it's grocery shopping or out to eat, without somebody coming over to the table and saying, hey, they're going to sign Wieters. What do you think about, so so I'm attached to both teams. It was just fine. I mean, I covered the Orioles. It took me a long time to really come to grips with the fact that I had seen the Orioles play more than I had seen a Washington team play, though I think that's probably reversed now over 10 years of seeing literally every Nationals game at home.
I remember as a kid, hearing Rex Barney doing the PA and talking to John Miller. We had a Marantz tape recorder, and so much has changed as far as technology with the Orioles and the Nationals as far as interacting with the fans, and both have done a really good job of being all-inclusive. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Orioles. You talk about injuries and so forth, and it just seems like you look at both teams, Orioles and Nationals. We'll stick with the Orioles for a second. They made the postseason last year. They made it in 12, but before 12, Phil, it was 79, 83, 96, 97. Neither team has made the postseason that much.
Well, certainly in the Orioles case, they went from being one of the most successful franchises of all time to 14 years lost in the desert, and they made a lot of bad decisions. They drafted poorly. Their player development system was not getting the job done, and all those losing seasons, a lot of people in Baltimore, I think, lost interest. That plus the reemergence of the National Football League in Baltimore certainly didn't help the Orioles. I've often said that I thought the football team across the street hurt them a lot more than the baseball team down the road. But this was this still is one of the better baseball towns. But there was a time, Greg, when and I've been in Baltimore since '82, but there was a time that I think people in Baltimore felt it was their birthright to win 90 games every year.
Right.
Because the Orioles seemed to do that. The Orioles, year after year, would have a winning club on the field, and the Robinsons and Boog Powell and Paul Blair and Palmer and Cuellar, et cetera. I mean, this was a really good club with a really good farm system, and it looked like it wouldn't end. But, of course, it did end. And this is one of those things where when the club came up for sale, despite their successes, nobody in Baltimore would buy them, and that was when Edward Bennett Williams bought the team. And at that point in time, the threat of a Washingtonian possibly moving the Orioles down the Parkway was very real. and the fans came back and they responded, and you could make the point that Edward Bennett Williams turned out to be the best thing to ever happen to Baltimore baseball. But obviously the team changed hands again to Eli Jacobs, and then he goes into bankruptcy court, and Peter Angelos and his group end up buying the team, and I don't know that there's any kind of special day you can point to that this is where things went south or this is where things got better. But a lot of people now like to point to the hiring of Buck Showalter, and clearly when Buck took over, they had a winning record the rest of that season, but a losing record the following year. But then the wheels were put back on the cart, and they've been pretty solid ever since. So I think there's a certain amount of autonomy that Buck Showalter's had that his predecessors as manager never had, and I think the fact that Buck seems to be able to work pretty closely with Dan Duquette, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of friction there. And the other thing, let's be honest, the Orioles have figured out how to use the option system to its best advantage.
Right, and of course, there's really not a whole lot of love lost between the Orioles and the Nationals, and I'm still impressed how they can all coexist on both mass and channels. The Redskins and Ravens, of course, they're rivals just by playing 35 miles apart from each other on exit 17 and 51. But there are times when the Orioles play the Nationals, you'll see a mom wearing the Orioles shirt, a dad wearing the Nationals, and some wearing both.
Oh, absolutely, and you see it all the time. You see people come to Nats games when they're not playing the Orioles, and they'll be wearing an Orioles T-shirt and a Nationals cap, and you go to Camden Yards on almost any given day, and you'll see people there with Nats stuff on. So it's two different leagues, and for the fan, it's potentially you can see 162 games live every season.
And I'm a purist, and I really don't like, Phil. I mean, I know interleague play is really evolved. It's more than just 1 or 2 times a year, and it's that's the one thing that was special about baseball compared to football or basketball or the NHL was they were unique and special, and they took away that now.
Well, and I think, let's be honest, I think the glimmer, the gloss has worn off of interleague play. There's still, the regional rivalries will still draw crowds.
Right.
But beyond that, there's some clubs that have no real regional rivals, and it's a waste of time. It's also the idea, this season in particular, the Nationals will host the Orioles for 3 games in September. In the height of the pennant race, and the idea that you might end up losing a game that cost you a playoff spot, and the game you lost was to a guy in the other league. So, I mean, Bud Selig, I'm sure, is quite proud of the advent of interleague play, and it was first proposed, 80 years ago and shot down then. But I'm not a big fan of that. But I'm also not a big fan of the designated hitter. So, I mean, that's just me. I think that as we've seen over the years, the impact of the DH in the American League has been less and less and less. There are so few full-time DHs. I mean, really beyond David Ortiz, there's a couple of more maybe. I mean, it's the idea that each league, the American League is not picking up fans. It's not drawing more fans because of the DH, and the National League's not losing fans because of the DH. And if you look at the daily stats, league by league, the league batting average are almost identical. So you're really not seeing a lot of additional offense in the American League, and that's mainly because of there's no great emphasis on complete games anymore. So in the National League, your starting pitcher might bat twice, and then they bat for it.
Yeah, it's all about arm rest. Talking to Phil Wood from Maston right here. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us live on Sports Scene at 1222, News Talk 1650, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. And you talked about Upton, and of course, we have a lot of high-profile players right here from the Virginia Beach area, including him and Zimmerman for the Nationals and Kadire for the Mets and David Wright. In my opinion, Phil, with Kadire and Wright and Zimmerman, especially Wright and Zimmerman, that those two guys could have been Hall of Fame players if they would have stayed healthy. In my opinion about Zimmerman, I've never seen a kid as injury-plagued as much in my life who's so young, yet he's in the back end of his career, in my opinion, right now.
Well, he's 30 years old, and you, on the one hand, you could say, well, with all the games he's missed, he should still be a little fresh. Maybe he still actually has a 28-year-old body, but chronologically is 30. I don't know. Zimmerman's a guy who is a streaky hitter. He's been certainly a major contributor, face of the franchise. But the injury thing has been an issue. David Wright, the spinal stenosis, which could very well end his career. And you look at what those guys have produced. On the other hand, you look at Kadire, who's been a major disappointment for the Mets.
Sure.
And the Uptons together in Atlanta, I mean, Justin Upton hit some home runs. BJ, now Melvin Upton, basically forgot how to play.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. You see a great amount of talent that comes out of that area. And right now, of that group, there's Justin Upton and Ryan Zimmerman, and I mean, Upton at least has been healthy all season and has hit some home runs, but he may not be long for San Diego.
Yeah, David Wright's body, to me, is really just banged up beyond repair. I'm not sure. It's amazing how well the Mets are doing, but it's because of the pitching, and what a year for the Nats, too. You know, you look at their overall team, 52-46. They made the postseason in 14-12. You would look on paper, the Braves are down, the Mets can't hit, yet the Mets are only down by one game right now.
Well, it shows you the importance of starting pitching, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, last night the Nats faced Jose Fernandez, who is undefeated since he came back from Tommy John surgery.
Sure.
Has never lost a game at that ballpark in Miami. Really one of the rising stars in the National League, potential Cy Young winner almost every year he's healthy. You know, this is one of those things. It was a game that they lost, and they'll give it another shot this evening. But I don't know that the Nationals are, with everybody healthy, with Rendon back now and Zimmerman back now and Worth back now, and they're still waiting on Span. To me, it's almost like making some big trade in the second half of the season that brings in 3 or 4 bats.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the guys off the bench did a remarkable job to keep their heads above water. I mean, in the absence of Zimmerman and Worth, they went 35-35, and with them in the lineup, they were 17-10. So I mean, I think that their value is obvious, but of course, yesterday's move, which impacts the bullpen, is going to be talked about for a long, long time.
Yeah, in my opinion right now, and you add that with Bryce Harper, you know, him and Trout with the Angels, to me, Phil, they are just a delight. Almost kind of reminds me of a young George Brett, kind of. And then, of course, Harper, you know, he's got that big-time hit, but he's got a little bit of the speed and a little bit of that arrogance that Ricky Henderson had as well.
Well, I think because he's a left-handed hitter,
sure.
I almost look at more of a Barry Bonds type.
Right.
Bonds, when he came up with Pittsburgh, unpopular with his own teammates throughout the minors and the majors, but he could prove it with the bat in his hand, and was a outstanding defensive player as well. Could steal some bases. That's Harper. I mean,
yeah.
Harper could conceivably be the MVP in the National League this season, and at 22, that would be a remarkable achievement. Nonetheless, I mean, Harper needs help. I mean, Harper, when Escobar was healthy and batting behind him, he had a pretty solid bat. You had to pitch to him. But some of the guys they had batting behind Bryce this season, there was no reason to throw him a strike. So he would go through stretches where he saw very few strikes. He would just basically, out of frustration, swing at pitches that were not really in his hot zone. And he'd either strike out or pop up, and hopefully now with most of the veterans back in the lineup, that's going to end.
Let's talk about the manager, Williams. You know, of course, he played for a long time in baseball himself, and you look at Buck, they're almost kind of similar personalities. They'll tell you something, but they won't tell you that much. I mean, they'll talk more than, you know, the New England Patriots coach Belichick did this morning, but I mean, it seems like neither one will divulge but so much, and you can see the pressure mounting right now, Phil. You only got 2+ months left in the season. Every game is crucial, especially now, it seems like more so for the Orioles.
Well, because the Orioles are so many games behind the Yankees, and the Yankees, I mean, a lot of people a month ago were saying, oh, the Yankees are old and they're going to have problems and they're going to fall apart. Well, it hasn't happened. You know, the Yankees may make a deal of their own before all is said and done, but Williams is one of those guys that, you know, they call him the Marine, and you get up close to him, and you spend any time at all with him, and there are some questions that he clearly doesn't like, but it doesn't come out in the tone of his voice, but you can see it in his eyes. You know, talk about having fire in your eyes. He's got it. I mean, there was a couple times at spring training where he was asked questions about injured players, and somebody basically pushed the wrong button, but the look in his eyes, if you could have measured radiation coming out of his head. I mean, it's just, but you know, Buck's a guy who somebody will say something, you know, something as obvious. Oh, Babe Ruth was a great player, and Buck will say, was he? You know, he always comes back with these questions that where the answer is perfectly evident, but that's just his style. And you know, Buck actually has some Virginia connections because Buck's dad was a graduate of Radford High School in Radford, Virginia. And the reason I know that is because my mother was one of his classmates.
Interesting. Yeah, of course, that's a little bit far away from the Virginia Beach area, but still, it's a great place to go during the mountains during the the fall and the winter. Talking to Phil Wood, you see him on Masson all the time. Of course, let's talk about Masson for a second before we're going to have a 1 minute CBS News break in 2 minutes, so stay on hold with us just for a second, Phil. But your thoughts about Masson covering both teams?
Well, you just look at how everything got started when the move of the Expos was announced in the fall of 04, and there was a perception at the time that that somehow the Orioles had territorial rights, but in fact, with the territorial claim on file at Major League Baseball, it only extended as south as Howard County, Maryland. So there would have been a case had a case been brought, but it wasn't. Major League Baseball wanted to avoid litigation, so they came up with the idea of this regional sports network. But there's a lot about it. I honestly don't know. You know, the Masson headquarters are in the warehouse in downtown Baltimore, and the studios are out in Cockeysville, Maryland. So I haven't actually seen anybody from management in about 4 years.
Yeah. All right, let's take a real quick CBS News break. Phil, we'll come back to you in 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right, stay tuned, folks, right here on News Talk 1650 on the radio, tunein.com, type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer, powered by Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com. With Ken Johnson, Greg Bicouvaris, stay tuned.
And an update on the weather. Pretty much the short version is partly cloudy skies and a chance of rain. That's the short version. The longer version that the weather people get paid for by the word, I think, is a mix of sun and clouds with possible isolated showers of thunderstorms today and a high of 88 degrees. Mostly clear tonight, but the ever-present and always summertime and Tidewater isolated possible showers of thunderstorms, a low of 75. Partly cloudy tomorrow with, you can say it with me, possible isolated showers of thunderstorms, a high of 92. Then we get a break, partly cloudy Friday, 90. Mostly sunny skies Saturday at 92, and mostly sunny on Sunday with a high of 91 degrees. Must be soon doing something right with these nice weekends. CBS is next. It's 12:31.
CBS News update. A Buffalo area man's under arrest accused of trying to join and help ISIS. His name is 44-year-old Arafat Nagy.
Nagy espoused violent jihad and that he did constitute a threat to those of us in the United States.
U.S. Attorney William Hochul says Nagy bought night vision goggles and other military combat gear.
In addition to pledging support to this organization, on 2 separate occasions, Nagy traveled from Lackawanna, New York, to Turkey with the intention of joining ISIL.
Hochul says authorities were tipped off by Nagy's neighbors.
Information in this case came from members of the community. I can't thank people enough for following admonition of law enforcement. If you see something, say something.
And he says social media posts also gave authorities key information in the case. CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan.
Baby, I'm playing on you tonight. Hunt you down, eat you alive. Just like animals, animals like animals. Maybe you think that you can hide. I can smell yourself from miles. Just like animals, animals like animals. Baby, I'm so what you trying to do?
All right, back live on the radio. Hello to all the locals and tourists, live on News Talk 1650, your 10,000-watt voice of CBS News in Hampton Roads. Greg Bicouvaris along with Ken Johnson, our special guest Phil Wood, for a few more moments. I want to thank him for his time, talent, and treasure. You see him on Masson all the time. Phil, it's pretty amazing. You know, you see a couple former Expos making the Hall of Fame, and as a kid, my favorite logo was the Expos hat, referring to Randy Johnson.
Well, of course, the Expo logo was an M, an E, and a B for Montreal Expos baseball, all on, which looks like a big M, and it was very clever at the time. In fact, they had a AAA farm team in Winnipeg early on in their history where they simply took the logo off and turned it upside down so it looked like a W.
Yeah.
But you know, you look at the guys who went into the Hall of Fame. Johnson was another guy who I would compare more to a Koufax because it took Johnson a few years to find home plate. And once he did, he was just dominant for years, all the Cy Young awards. But he played for so many teams that you tend to look at him as kind of a journeyman, a journeyman who won 300-plus games. Of that group that went in, I was a big fan of Pedro, because Pedro Martinez was nails most of the time, and he was there's just something about him that he was a compelling personality. I wasn't put off at all by the fact that he knocked down Don Zimmer. It was just one of those things in the heat of the moment. But you look at his older brother Ramon, who was a pretty good pitcher in his own right, and they thought that Pedro was going to be too thin to last, to have any kind of stamina, and clearly that was wrong, and he gets traded to the Expos for Delino de Shields, which is one of those trades that Dodgers will rue forever.
Yeah, of course, the Expos, became and evolved into the Nationals. We'll see if Montreal ever gets a baseball team back. Toronto does so with attendance. Final few moments, your thoughts about the Papelbon trade?
Well, I still don't quite get it, because in Drew Storen, you had a guy who was one of the best closers in baseball, and was on his way to a career year as the Nats closer, and there was nothing to suggest that you needed to yank the rug out from underneath him again, as you did before when you brought in Rafael Soriano. The other thing is the Nationals are such sticklers for bringing in guys with great makeup. They stress makeup all the time, and Papelbon's a guy who, ever since he got to the major leagues with the Red Sox, has come across very much a me-first guy. Not so much a team guy, but look, Mike Rizzo gets paid lots of money to make these decisions, and I guess he thought that seeing what the Royals did last year, where they turned the game into a six-inning game and used closers basically in the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning, that he's going to try the same thing and use Storen in the eighth and Papelbon in the ninth. But until Papelbon actually shows up and gets the job done and shows that he's better than Storen, I guess the point could be made. Storen can show that he's better than the other guys they used in the eighth inning, but it's still one of those things. It's I in the interest of full disclosure, I've known Drew since he was in college, and actually right when he got out of high school, before he started at Stanford, and he's not a guy who is what I would call overly sensitive. He's very much a mature young man, and I think that he understands how the game works. But I'll say this, it wouldn't shock me at all if when Drew Storen can become a free agent, if he doesn't find himself wearing somebody else's uniform.
Yeah, sometimes a change of scenery is good or bad. We were talking about interleague play a little bit earlier. Look at, you and I were talking Monday off there about Johnson. He comes into relief on Monday, and of course he gives up some runs. The Orioles beat the Braves, but he went to the A's and he went to the Braves. It worked out pretty well for him, but just like teams play each other from different leagues, sometimes players have to adjust. Probably the best one to adjust was Mark McGwire when he went, from the A's to the Cardinals.
Well, McGwire was another guy you would call not a great hitter, but a very dangerous hitter. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if he could just square up a ball, he was going to be strong enough to hit it out, chemical enhancement or not, because we saw him do it when he came up with the A's, and he was still fairly thin at that point in time. But I don't know. I look at the transition from league to league is one thing. From position to position is something else. And I mean, these guys are human beings, and they have feelings. And I if you go back to when the Nationals brought in Soriano and moved Drew to the eighth inning then, and he struggled a little bit, and they ended up sending him back to the minors. And Tyler Clippard spoke out and said, hey, Drew's gotten a raw deal here, and most of the ball club feels the same way. And I think that was true. Well, Clippard's gone, of course, but I mean, I think that Storen has made enough friends in the clubhouse that I'm sure whatever feelings he's having of resentment, whatever you want to call it, are shared by a lot of his teammates. So we'll see if this Papelbon thing turns out to be great. If it gets them to the World Series, then you can all bets are off at that point in time. But it concerns me a little bit that Papelbon's reputation as a me-first guy kind of precedes him.
Yeah, because that can change the dynamics of the postseason, because both teams have not evolved well in the postseason, the Orioles and the Nationals. But to me, I agree. Clippard and Storen were a great 1-2 punch. Phil, thanks. All the best. And go ahead and plug whatever you want to on Masson on your TV show so people can watch.
Well, I'm on daily on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report from 5 to 6:30, and then Saturday mornings I do a show from 10 till noon with former Major League left-hander Mike Wallace, who was, when I was in high school, Mike was the Steven Strasburg of Northern Virginia, pitching at Madison High School, and he pitched in the big leagues with the Phillies and the Yankees and the Cardinals and the Rangers. Well, that's on from 10 till 12, Nats Talk, Saturday mornings on Masson.
Phil, all the best, and we'll talk to you very soon, my friend. Stay safe.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Phil. All right, Phil Wood right there from Masson, Ken Johnson. We'll take a short break right here on Sports Scene on 1650. TuneIn.com, type in WHKT, business, highlights, what teased me off, all coming up. Stay tuned.
Active Computers and Electronics in Chesapeake handles it all and then some. They can fix your laptop, take care of motherboards, fix DC jacks, broken LCD screens, replace damaged plastic, and hinge replacement. They also handle viruses, slow computers, hard drive data recovery, battery replacement, can back up data, and upgrade memory. Call 485-8878 and visit Active Computers and Electronics at 2973 South Military Highway in Chesapeake today.
Hello, Toes. This is the brain. Is all this wiggling absolutely necessary?
We've never been this happy. Whatever it is you're drinking up there is cooling us off all the way down here.
Now that you mention it, we happen to be enjoying a new Rita's frozen drink. Your favorite flavor of their signature Italian ice turned into an intensely flavorful frozen beverage. The perfect refreshment on a hot summer day.
More, please.
Don't be a piggy.
Haven't heard that one before.
Visit 12286 Warwick Boulevard in Newport News and 2328 West Mercury Boulevard in Hampton for Rita's.
The place for authentic Indian food is the India Palace. They feature authentic Indian cuisine, have a party hall, and do catering and banquets. Open daily for lunch and dinner, they showcase an excellent lunch buffet at their Chesapeake and Virginia Beach locations. Visit their two locations at 1437 Sam's Drive in Chesapeake off of Battlefield Boulevard and 5600 Virginia Beach Boulevard in Virginia Beach, and online at IndiaPalaceVB.com. On Facebook, look for India Palace Virginia Beach and India Palace Bar and Grill. Dine at the India Palace today.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com Marketplace Pages.
And thank you very much, folks. Always a pleasure to work with my good friend Ken Johnson right here. We used to work together at another news talk station. We just moved up the dial a little bit, have we, Kenny?
Just a tad.
Exactly.
A couple of notches toward the glove box.
And hello to all the locals and tourists as well. We always want to thank you for being in Hampton Roads. Of course, all powered by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. The place that locals and tourists look to for retail is Hampton Roads Online Mall.com. Just like you see the nice Smithfield link coming up. And we'll talk to Judy Winslow in just a moment. Don't forget GJBTV.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows of Sports Scene. Tell your friends to listen on TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. Save the date each Wednesday from 12 to 1 for Sports Scene. And, of course, our business spotlight scenes coming up. What teased me off? Sports highlights on NNPSTV.com. As always, thank you to our sponsors and great guests like MiCasitaMexican.com, Papa John's, Zaxby's, Blue Sushi Cafe as well. And also go out and support the Norfolk Tides. They only have a few more games left in the rest of the season throughout August. And maybe if they make the postseason, you never know. All right, let's welcome Judy Winslow from Smithfield and, of course, VA Events. And, Judy, how are you today, my friend?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Very good. Let's talk about the whole Smithfield phenomenon. It really is a lot of events and a lot of save-the-date moments.
Oh, you betcha. Of course, the one coming up in October is the Genuine Bacon, Bourbon, and Beach Music Festival, so it is not to be missed.
It's hard to believe it's right around the corner because August 1st is this weekend, and your event is only 2 months away.
Yeah, it actually is, but we have actually just got a bit more than 100 tickets left to sell. So
right.
If people are interested in coming, I would get online right now and buy those tickets.
And that's why we're talking right now. We'll be talking every month leading up to the event, you and I and Gina, and we look forward to that. I really enjoy working with Gina. What a great girl she is as well.
Oh, absolutely. So we couldn't do it without her.
You guys have a great 1-2 punch. Well, let's talk about the event. If people like bacon, that's definitely the place to be.
You bet. Actually, every attendee gets a half pound of bacon. We don't do these small bite things. We give you a half pound of bacon in a boat, and you get to take it to our condiment tent and dress that bacon up any way you want it or just eat it like it is.
And, of course, Hampton Roads, easy to get to. And let's talk about the venue and the location.
Sure. It's located at Windsor Castle Park. That is right in downtown Smithfield. It's directly across from Smithfield Station. We highly recommend that when folks come, that they spend the weekend with us, because there's a lot going on. Not just the Bacon, Bourbon, and Beach Music Festival, but our downtown merchants have stuff going on. There's bourbon dinners the night before and all sorts of things going on Sunday as well. So we highly encourage folks to come and spend the night in one of our local hotels.
And a lot of great things. By then it's only a couple months away from the holidays and holiday shopping as well, so there's always something.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, always something to do. Give us a good phone number people can call.
The best phone number for information is to call our visitor center, and that number is 757-357-5182, or to go online, because you can get a ton of information on our website. And let me give you that website. It's www.smithfieldvabaconfest.com, and that's all lined up together.
And of course,
smithfieldvabaconfest.com.
And of course, you saw it the other day too, Judy, on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. You stick out really big there as well, and people
do.
And y'all can just click that image, folks, and it takes you right to her beautiful website without having to type, Google, search, or spell. Well, really, and then of course you have other events coming out throughout the 2015-2016 calendar.
We do, yeah. After the Bacon, Bourbon, and Beach Music Fest in January, we have Bob Fest, which is Bloody Marys, oysters, and Brunswick stew, and barbecue. Of course, you can't come to an event here without barbecue. And then, of course, our spring event, it's always held the second weekend in April, is our Smithfield Wine and Brew Fest. That's the first festival that we started with, and now we've branched out, and we do 3 of these festivals.
When is the Bob Fest again?
Bob Fest is Martin Luther King weekend in January, and it's all held under a huge tent with heaters in it. So it's a lot of fun. We have the DeLoreans play, and all the food and beverages and dancing. It's a great time, and there's not a whole lot going on in January, so there's no excuse not to come.
I'm sure you watch the Food Network once in a while. Don't you think just all the shows and festivals and different restaurants they highlight, that helps the Bacon and Bourbon Festival, because people want to go to social events, they want to see their friends. It's almost like a reunion when you go to it.
Oh, absolutely, especially at our venue. We don't have the biggest Bacon and Bourbon Festival, but we do think we have the best. It's not about squeezing a lot of people onto a small venue. We cap our numbers at 2,600, and because we feel like that's what comfortably fits on our site. And people that come have a wonderful time. They've got a little spread-out room. They get to sample 10 different bourbons, and they're all small batch, high-end bourbons. And then we've got beer tasting as well, or you can purchase wine. And, of course, there's lots of food to be had as well, in addition to the bacon.
Well, Judy, thank you so much. And people can cook with bourbon, too, again. Leave us again with the date for the Bacon Bourbon Festival.
Absolutely. It's going to be held on Saturday, October 3rd, 2015, and it's from 11 a.m. until 5.
All right, and we'll talk to you or Gina next month, and give my best to Gina, my buddy, and we will talk to you very soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Judy. Okay, Judy Winslow right there. Ken, what goes hand in hand with sports is food.
Got to have it. Yeah, when you think of sports, you think of food. You think about hot dogs at the baseball park. You think of everything
with bacon. Yeah, exactly.
With bacon, you got to have bacon on it.
And I cannot wait to what tees we off. But we have another business guest coming up. This is Sports Scene right here on the radio on 1650 AM every Wednesday, 12 to 1. At Greg Bick on Twitter. That's GREGBIC, GJB TV, HR1LineMall.com, and Sports Highlight. Again, Greg Bick on Twitter. Interact. I want to thank all the great listeners on Twitter, all the people that have won prizes, and of course we'll be giving away more prizes as time gets closer and closer in the future as well. Sports Scene every Wednesday, 12 to 1 on 1650 AM. And of course, tunein.com, type in WHKT. Stay tuned.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar has 2 locations, 4201 Granby Street in Norfolk and 801 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Call ahead at 640-7705. At Mihogar, there is something for everyone.
Active Computers and Electronics in Chesapeake handles it all and then some. They can fix your laptop, take care of motherboards, fix DC jacks, broken LCD screens, replace damaged plastic, and hinge replacement. They also handle viruses, slow computers, hard drive data recovery, battery replacement, can back up data, and upgrade memory. Call 485-8878 and visit Active Computers and Electronics at 2973 South Military Highway in Chesapeake today.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
All right, back live right here on the radio. This is Sports Scene. I want to thank Phil Wood from Masson, talking Orioles and Nationals in the first half hour. Also, Judy Winslow, talking about all the big events going on in Smithfield. And we want to switch gears a little bit and talk about pets. Everybody loves their pets, whether it's a cat or a dog, a rabbit like I do. I'm a big rabbit fan. Let's talk from Newport News Animal Hospital. Let's welcome Candace. How are you, Candace?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. Always good to talk to you. And, of course, big change at Newport News Animal Hospital. You guys moved a little bit.
A little bit. We are now at our new location, 11105 Warwick Boulevard, for those of you who need to know. Our phone number has stayed the same at 757-595-6624. So that's great news. We're happy to be here, doing great.
Yeah, right around the corner from Warwick High School and across from Old Point National Bank. And Dr. Seacute's been around the peninsula for a long time, and people really trust him with their pets.
He is great. He's got a great personality, very sincere person, very personable, friendly, outgoing. He really cares about his job and very passionate.
Talking to Candace Adams from Newport News Animal Hospital. You can see her link on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. You simply click the image. It'll take you right to Newport News Animal Hospital. And you guys have a very nice website and Facebook page.
Yes, thank you. Our website is NewportNewsAnimalHospital.com, and Facebook is Newport News Animal Hospital. So look us up and get great reviews and come and visit. We offer half off for the first exam, so it's only $25 just to be seen. So he's very reasonable on his prices as well.
Yeah, give them a call at 595-6624. And very interesting, too, that Dr. Seacute sees all types of pets. Talk about it.
Yeah, he does. Not only does he see dogs and cats, he also sees exotics. We've had monkeys in here. We've had geckos. Geckos were so cool. We've had lizards. We've had hamsters, rabbits, guinea pigs. He sees a wide variety of pets. He's awesome.
And he sees my favorite pets, Shih Tzus, too, correct?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And bunny rabbits. And you have a friendly staff. The staff really puts the team together every day.
It is. They're a lot of fun to work with. You couldn't get a better crew.
And let's talk about finally the hours.
The hours, we are open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. Wednesday and Friday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then Saturday hours are 10 to 4.
Very good, Candace. Give it our best to Dr. Seacute, Newport News Animal Hospital. Beautiful place, great location. And go by and see Candace. That's worth the visit alone.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
Very good. Talk to you very soon.
Yes, okay. Sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ken, she is really bubbly. I mean, don't you wish that everybody would have a receptionist that energetic about their job?
Or that anybody was that energetic about their job sometimes.
Which gets to what teased me off.
Oops.
With Kenny and Greg.
What tees you off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
Ken, we got a lot of time.
Yeah,
exactly. You never know. And automation teased me off, but I always have to tell Kenny when stuff goes on. Folks, that's radio talk right here. Don't forget, this is What Teased Me Off. So, of course, we try to keep it light, keep it a little friendly, but we also tell it like it is. Ken, opening the fridge and not seeing Diet Coke. That really teased me off.
Doesn't bother me underneath.
Okay, but anyway, it bothers me, my friend. All right, parents can, it's a big responsibility. My sister's got a daughter, and you've got kids. That, in this country, if I'm not mistaken, help me if I'm not wrong, that you have to be 18 to vote, 18 to go to the military, 21 to drink. So what parents in their right mind are going to tell their kids to go on a boat on the Atlantic Ocean at 14 years old and say, go for it? Really? 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 Let's look at ourselves in the mirror, folks. If your kid says they want to go on a boat to a lake or a river or an ocean, you should have 2 to 3 adult chaperones with them. That's like saying driving the interstate without a license, Ken. That's not right. I'm sorry. That really teased me off.
Even if they come from a long generation and they've been out on boats all their lives, fishing or whatever, you still have an adult. Come on, you don't send children, and they're children until they're 18 in this country. You don't send children in harm's way without supervision.
Ken, that is just not right. I mean, really, what person would ever send their kids on the ocean at 14 years old? I don't care if it's 50 yards out or a mile out. They're kids. KIDS, please, please, please. Of course, Ken, people that leave political flyers on doorknobs, and, they leave them at the awkward times when you're on vacation as well.
Oh, yeah. And not only political flyers, everything else, all kind of junk.
Yeah, I mean, just junk mail in general, of course.
And then sometimes the wind blows them off, and they end up cluttering up everything. So sometimes it's funny to see a flyer for a recycling event or something recycling or some kind of environmental friendly notice, and it's been blown off the door and it's fluttering around and hanging in the gutter somewhere. It's like, well, you just kind of defeated the purpose there, didn't you?
Especially, Candace, that run unopposed, you're going to win anyway.
Yeah.
Especially those local hacks that run for political office. All right, people, Ken, that want to have an in-depth phone call before 8 in the morning or after 10 o'clock at night. You know who you are, too.
In depth.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm in depth in that time of night is unconsciousness.
They're talking about copycats on Twitter, Ken, about stealing jokes. I mean, really, if people have to steal jokes, just retweet it. You won't get in any trouble at all.
Well, I don't know. Milton Berle made a career out of stealing jokes.
Yeah, that's true. Bob Hope did a little bit, too, of that as well.
Best line Uncle Milty ever said was, gee, I wish I'd said that, and I will.
I love Jonathan Winters and Don Rickles. They were really great. You brought them up. They're really great comedians.
Oh, yeah.
Ken, I love Twitter, but on their website, if you try to make a phone call to them, they don't talk to the public. It's just like they've gotten so entitled with all this social media that nobody talks anymore. It's almost pretty much when you call a 1-800 number customer service. For more, go on to soandso.com. We already know that, but we want to talk to somebody. But Twitter is almost like we're above talking.
You can contact the White House. You can get through to the IRS.
Right.
You can get through to the CIA quicker than you can talk to somebody at Facebook or Twitter.
Unbelievable. Ken, being overcharged for something at a retail place and not realizing it till you get home.
Got to watch the prices, especially at some of the big box stores, especially the one that starts with a W. That's as far as I'll go. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to the checkout. The price on the shelf says one thing, at the checkout it rings up as something else. I think maybe they're thinking most people don't notice. There's no telling how much extra profit they get from people not just paying attention at the register.
Especially when they have to add the numbers themselves, or, you go to a big grocery store and they start double charging you. Look very carefully. Those conveyor belts at grocery stores, Ken, when you're in line and somebody's in front of you, yet the conveyor belt still moves and all of a sudden the groceries just go all over the place.
Yeah. Turn the thing off. Come on.
Yeah, Ken, weaving through parking lots at big grocery stores and that big W store with a cart is like going through the Indy 500.
Oh, yeah. And people speeding through parking lots or neighborhoods, but especially through parking lots. There are people walking. Slow down.
I was at a grocery store Saturday, and I ran into a piece of cheese, Ken. I kid you not. Now, it was gourmet cheese, but it was $35. And I went to the guy and said, wow, $35 for this part of cheese? And even the manager said, wow. And the guy goes, I don't make the prices. Really? I mean, come on. Just what are your thoughts about it? $35 for a piece of cheese? You can buy steaks cheaper than that.
It better be real good cheese.
Ken, folks that say they're too busy, really, we're all busy. Don't use that excuse.
Well, in my case, it's true.
Well, there are people that go to work and just look at computer screens all day and pretend like they're busy.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know who you are, too, folks.
Sit there and stare at the wall.
Ken, takeout orders that have gone bad. Just gone bad. Maybe it's the wrong food or the wrong side item. It can really affect your whole order.
Yeah, there was one fast food place on Northampton Boulevard that was guaranteed every single time you would get the order wrong.
Right. Or how about this? When you go to a restaurant or store, owner is not here. How can I help you? But, or also when you talk to receptionists on the phone, they'll pretend like the owner's there, but they'll give you all this information. Oh, I'll leave a message. Thank you. I just gave you my whole information. I thought you were the office manager. Ken, it seems like everybody on Twitter who's not in the media like you and I are, they're a media expert. They're a blog expert. What is it with they're a business consultant. And they have no media background, yet everybody, look how many people that you follow or vice versa, they're a blog expert or a media consultant. Yeah, everybody can.
Just because you have a blog does not make you a successful blogger. It's like not everybody that drives a car is Mario Andretti.
And that's why it's so easy. Just to go to HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. We have no blogs. You click the image, goes right to the website of your choice. Want to thank Phil Wood from Masson. Great guest. Judy Winslow from Smithfield, talking about all the great events coming up, as well as Candace Adams from Newport News Animal Hospital. All the great sponsors as well. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link. Want to thank again Active Computers, Rita's, India Palace, Mi Hogar, MiCasitaMexican.com with 2 great locations in Virginia Beach, Papa John's, Zaxby's, Blue Sushi Cafe. Go support the Norfolk Tides, and SmokeNN.com in Newport News. Go by and see Dylan. Great guest. We'll be back live next Wednesday on the radio from 12 to 1. Enjoy the rest of the week. And can I tell you, the Patriots are definitely looking forward to getting this day over with. And I know, of course, that you are as well, my friend. Always a pleasure. And we'll talk to you soon.
You know what really teased me off?
What's that?
When the show is over.
Oh, you're so nice.
CBS News and Dennis Prager are next on AM 1650 WHKT. The Answer, it's 1 p.m.